Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Miss Texas Show with your co-host, Elena Georgiou. And excited as always to bring you another edition of our show and another wonderful, wonderful guest. And that guest today is Harriet from Kenya. And she faced childhood trauma, sexual gender-based violence, and in 2007, post-election violence. And her hope is that no woman or child gets to experience what she did. And she will share her story. And that's my hope too. And we're going to talk about human trafficking awareness. And we're super excited to have Harriet with us today to tell us more about her story, her journey, and all the wonderful things she has done and the wonderful ways she helps others. So with that, we will have Harriet on the show in a while. So we look forward to having her and talking with all of you.
The Ms. Texas Show is a voice of hope for victims, survivors, advocates, and community leaders against gender-based violence to share their stories and resources. We began showcasing life in Texas. Today we are impacting lives not only in Texas, but also around the world. Under our segment Military Time, we run this segment in partnership with the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We invite military and veterans who have overcome traumatic events to share their experiences during and after their military service. Under our beauty segment, we invite fellow pageant winners and contestants, artists, musicians, actors, models, and dancers, and last but not least, our survivor leaders from family violence, sex trafficking, sexual assault, stalking, and other traumatic events who are ambassadors for these causes to share their lives and the impact they have made. To become a guest on our show, email us at msusatexas@gmail.com. If you would like to support victims and survivors of gender-based violence, make a tax-deductible donation to Hope Picks Global at www.hopeyxglobal.org.
Hello again, and welcome to the Miss Texas Show. As always, we're not only excited to have another great conversation, but another incredible guest. So our guest today is no less of an honor and a pleasure. So we have Harriet with us today. She's a child youth mentor. She's a human rights defender. She advocates for women and children's rights by giving voice to the voiceless. She's also passionate about women's empowerment, and she has designed policies for gender and disability equality, diversity, and inclusion. So we're super excited to have you here with us today and super honored. And you have definitely had a tremendous journey and a lot of experience. And you have done so much to help so many others. So Harriet, if you could, let our viewers know about yourself, who you are, a little bit about your journey, and more about you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Elena. I'm Harriet Afandi from Kenya. I have a Bachelor of Science in Project Planning and Management, and I'll start straightforward from my childhood journey. Let me say, hunger and poverty placed my mom in a desperate situation, and she gave out her third-born daughter, that's me, to a family person, in the hope that she could reduce the burden on her back, because by then until now she's just like a single mom. So I was barely 7 years old. That was in 2003 when I went to live with that person. And in 2004, I was 8 years old. The environment, then my social environment became toxic because of sexual harassment. I was subjected to child labor. And up to now, I think child and forced labor is a form of human trafficking. So the trauma that I went through with no one to talk to, because that person, I could not talk to them. I could not speak about what I was experiencing, even though they had that intuition that I was undergoing something that is not quite well. So in 2007, we traveled in in a family member's wedding, and I decided that this is enough. I accompanied a family member who was coming to my mother's place, and then I said, let me just go for 3 days and then I'll come back. And then when I came to my mom's place, I decided I'll not go back. So that's when the 2007 post-election violence was roaming in Kenya, and it was very, very diverse, and it was very severe. So the transition into another level, the school and the social life and the fitting into the social norms, it was quite very hard. But the trauma kept on haunting me. So I decided that I will use that trauma to save these children who are undergoing something that I went through, to give them hope so that they don't feel the same. Now that my mom was a single mother, I decided that I'll also encourage these women who are raising their kids single-handedly, who have undergone gender-based violence, because my mom went through this because of a toxic male chauvinistic background that never wanted us. We are 5 girls in a family of 6, only 1 boy. I decided to use that trauma in a positive direction to save others and to save women. That's why I am doing social entrepreneurship. You can see my projects in the World Pulse community. I'm doing sustainable agriculture and child and youth mentorship and volunteerism, all because to eliminate poverty and hunger, which is a root cause to human trafficking. Thank you.
Wow, what a journey. I'm so impressed. And this world needs women leaders like you, and thank you for all that you're doing. It's really incredible. And human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar form of international organized crime constituting modern-day slavery. And for criminals, victims of trafficking are merely a commodity that can be used and even sold for financial gain. And there is a total disregard of human dignity and rights. And all abuse is traumatic and harmful to victims. But many factors in sex trafficking intensify the pain even more than if a child was solely sexually abused. And everyone has a role to play in ending human trafficking against girls and women. And human trafficking has to stop here and now, not tomorrow, but today. And children and women have to be protected. And survivors, you have my support. Back to you, Harriet, and I want to ask you a few questions, if I may. Can you tell our viewers more about the types of human trafficking you just said about your own? Do you have any types that you can share with them so they can know more about it?
Thank you, Elena. There are 4 main types of human trafficking. The first one is human trafficking in form of cheap and forced labor, the domestic workers. This has been demonstrated in East and Middle East Africa, in the Middle East and Eastern Africa. The domestic workers are being recruited from Eastern Africa into the Gulf countries, to the Arab nationals. So it's the first form of type of human trafficking. The second one is human trafficking in order to undertake criminal activities. This one includes trafficking people who will do drug trafficking, and the other one is trafficking people who will be used in terrorist activities. Like you can see the Nigeria, even my neighboring country, Somalia, they are using children as suicide bombers. They are using people as suicide bombers. You see, some of them are not willing to do so, but they are trafficked to do so despite them not wanting to do so. The third one is sexual exploitation. And on this one, women and girls are being trafficked more. So sexual exploitation is a type of human trafficking that traffickers use these women and girls to do sexual activities, sexual business that benefit their own multi-billion businesses and organizations. The fourth one is human trafficking for organ smuggling. The latest news in Kenya, we have had a former funeral home owner who has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for organ smuggling. You see, you cannot smuggle an organ which it has dead cells. So you cannot tell me that the organs were removed from the dead people. So organ smuggling is real. They are removed from live persons, you see, so that they can be placed under into the people of interest. Those are the 4 types.
And who are involved, the perpetrators and the potential targets, victims to human trafficking?
Traffickers can be foreign nationals, citizens, family members, partners, acquaintances, and strangers. They can act alone or as part of an organized criminal enterprise. This could be international or a national syndicate. People often incorrectly assume that all the traffickers are male. However, there are cases, according to the United States, has prosecuted cases against women traffickers. Even in Kenya, the human traffickers for human trafficking and domestic workers, most of them are women who own the agencies that traffic our ladies into the Middle East. Those are women. And other people may include family members or close relatives. Like for my case, you have a family member who will just try to tell you that I'm going to give you a greener pasture. No, they end up trafficking you. Okay. Another point is that children account for half of the victims of human trafficking. The average age involved in sex trafficking is 12 years old. If the victim is young, that's a kid, no force, no fraud, or no coercion is necessary to prove trafficking. You see? Thank you. Back to you, Elena.
And what and how has human trafficking been manifested in Kenya, Africa, and the world at large?
Okay. According to the evidence, traffickers will use drugs, force, or emotional and financial tactics in order to lure in and control their victims. For example, in Kenya, at the coastal Kenya, and even in our big cities, there is sex trafficking. This one is being used in form of young girls, young boys, especially at the coast region. We have news of young boys being used as drug traffickers. And then the girls and women have been trafficked for sexual exploitation. Children in Kenya are trafficked to work as domestic laborers also in farming, fisheries, and begging on the streets. You have had cases and documentaries when you follow the BBC Africa of people who have been trafficked to go and sit on the streets and act like they are begging for money. They are not the ones who are begging. There are some tycoons behind them, and they are watching them so that the money that they collect at the end of the day belong to those people. And you should not touch a coin on that money or a shilling. So they have been trafficked and smuggled to perform that business for those cartels. You see, back to you, Helena.
And which countries have been on the spot of human trafficking?
Okay, I have, according to the research, according to United Nations Office of Drug and Trafficking, United Nations Women, United Nations Human Rights and Children, we have these 10 countries that have been on the spot and top for human trafficking. We have China, India, United States of America, Indonesia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Russia. Maybe to add on others can be Sudan. There is Sudan, Syria. Venezuela has no punitive measures for human trafficking. So this is also another country which is on the verge and at large has been spotted for human trafficking carelessly. And then Afghanistan, Ukraine, and Russia, of course, because of the nature of the political stability of those countries. Thank you. Back to you, Elena.
How do survivors cope, Harriet, with post-traumatic trafficking trauma? And how
it's very hard.
Yeah.
You see, a trauma, when you talk of a trauma, it's very hard. So when survivors of human trafficking exhibit extreme and severe mental health issues, like mental numbness, you see, memory loss. Some of them are dragged so that they don't know what's going on or where they are being taken to. There is this depression, anxiety, withdrawal symptoms, and isolation because they don't want to be near anyone for the fear of their life. They don't know who is their security or where are they safe, especially this one who are being trafficked by family members. They don't trust anyone close to them anymore. And then they may develop post-traumatic stress disorder, a dependence on substance or alcohol abuse, and or eating disorders maybe. You see, these people, because of isolation, they'll find something to do, and some will sink into substance abuse, the cocaine, the heroin, or the alcohol. For example, in Kenya, I've seen women sinking into alcohol abuse. And then there is another point. When you see such a person, some may be willing to talk, but to strangers. I normally encourage my victims to talk to total strangers because you cannot trust a person who you know will talk to a person who knows you. So they should trust total strangers as needed. Also, they are supposed to undergo psychiatric services, medication, and substance use treatment, which can address the complex mental health and addiction concerns that they are undergoing. Thank you. Back to you, Elena.
Who are responsible for the fight against human trafficking, and what are some measures of human trafficking in different countries, and are they being implemented? I'm very curious to find out.
Okay, there are people who are responsible for human trafficking, to fight against human trafficking. First of all, it starts with the personal security. That's why I'm here to create awareness. That's why we are here to create human trafficking awareness, to give signs of human trafficking to potential targets and victims. So you are your own security. So it starts at the individual level. Beware of human trafficking environment and be cautious. Another thing is governments like Kenya has Victim Protection Act, which protects the victims of human trafficking and gives them hope and care, special care and treatment. But this has not been properly implemented because of the threshold of evidence required to obtain a conviction. Although Kenya's Counter-Trafficking in Persons Act became law in 2012, there have been very few success prosecutions because of the high threshold of evidence required. You see, it's very hard to obtain those evidence. And that, just like I said earlier, Venezuela has no punitive actions towards this crime. So human trafficking is like a norm in such a country, which gives us an note that something needs to be done to prevent this action, to prevent this crime, which is human trafficking awareness, promoting the awareness. Thank you. Back to you.
Have you ever been subject to human trafficking, and how did you end up being a victim and survivor?
Just as I said, forced labor on children is a form of human trafficking. I was barely 8 years in 2003 when I was subjected to child labor by a close family member. My social environment was subject to sexual harassment because of the workers around that farm. And until 2007, when I was in grade 5, and then I escaped from this after a series of childhood traumas. Of course, I had tried to escape earlier, but I will reach a point on the road and then I don't know which way to go because I was on foot. I was very afraid not to ask for a lift in cars or what, because they might take me back. So I used to go back. I tried some attempt. I attempted to escape from that place, but it was never a success until this point when I used another close family members who had means to travel to come to my mother's homeland. And then I said, I'm not going back. I did not tell anyone. Even right now, some of my closest family members don't know about it. But another funny thing is that those people who are there have victimized themselves, and my character has been assassinated. So you see, there are also some effects of this. You might end up in a character assassination situation. So I'm a victim and a survivor. Back to you.
That's your calling. I mean, this is your calling, your mission to.
Okay, another thing, maybe if I should add, I'm also a victim of sexual and gender-based violence at workplaces and social institutions. I'm a victim. And I can say I was a former alcoholic because of this. I sank into alcohol. I did not use any other substance, but I used alcohol. But then from 2019, I've been sober and I'm now okay. I'm encouraging, I've saved some of my mentees from the university. I've saved them from doing such things, sinking into alcohol or bad relationship that can lead to university deaths, you see. So that's why I'm a sexual and gender-based violence activist, because I know the pain.
Of course you do. You know the pain from firsthand. So
yeah.
Can you share some future plans you have, or maybe your projects and anything that you're doing now or something in the future, and inform our viewers?
Thank you. Before I share, I had some warning signs of human trafficking. If you see someone appearing malnourished, you should talk to them. If you see someone showing some kind of physical injuries and abuse, kindly find a way to talk to them. If you see someone in the streets avoiding eye contact, social interaction, and authority figures or law enforcement, kindly talk to that person, try to come close to them, use your psychological wisdom to try and ask them a few questions. Or rather, some may seem to adhere to scripted or rehearsed responses in social interaction when you approach them. So be cautious when talking to such people. Or others in foreign nationals, illegal migrants who lack official identification documents might be victims or survivors who have escaped from human trafficking. So if you happen to see such kind of signs, kindly talk to those people. And then back to the question, Elena. Yes, I have future projects. I have, due to my childhood trauma, and the 2007 post-election trauma. And I have also been a victim of 2017. My family was a victim of 2017 post-election violence. Post-election violence. It is this time when thugs and robbers attacked our home, but we were safe, but they were supposed to come to our house, you see, because of the kind of work that my mom did in order to educate us. So they come to our house, and then it was my father who was attacked, and then they cut him with pangas, with sharp objects until now, but he survived that. So my future projects have included that I wish to register my group, my Women in Kenya group, because it's a group that includes women all over the country. I've been finding to register a CBO as a hard thing, because a CBO will only include the projects that I've been doing at home, the agribusiness. I've been doing agribusiness at home. I've been together with my mom. We have chicken business, which has educated me together with my siblings. We have a banana business, as you can see on my profile on World Pulse. That's how I've been doing this as social entrepreneurship to curb hunger and poverty, which led me to become who I am today. And another thing is, I would like to register my group, Women in Kenya. I would like to register this group so that I have a license to operate all over the country, because some of my mentees, I am mentoring three kids right now, boys, very good and young and promising boys. They are in primary and secondary education, and these children belong to a human trafficking victim. She's not in the country right now. She's in the Middle East. And I've also shared a story. I've fought for a financial crime that was implicated on someone who she trusted very much with this kid, but ended up embezzling the funds. So 3 months, Elena, I fought for those funds, and yesterday the person had to pay back the money. She followed, but it was not successful. And then I told her, just give me this person. I'll deal with this issue and you will be fine. So yesterday the person sent the money and I've saved it, and I'll use the money to go and do some shopping for the kid next week. But when we are going back to school, that's another achievement in my human trafficking awareness and prevention journey, supporting the survivors and victims. I'm mentoring these kids because they were living alone, and then I decided to tell her, no, this is not very well. They need a mentor. They'll be good children, because the bigger one is a teenager, and you know the thing with teenagers. So he was sinking into another journey which was not well. So I decided that I will mentor them and do anything that is within my jurisdiction. And now she has entrusted them with me. She has given me the power and authority to take care and mentor them while she's away, because she's not planning to come here soon, because she found someone who, the place that she is working, let me say, it's a good place, only that the amount of work given to her and the salary does not match. So that's why it's domestic working, cheap labor, you see. Another plan, the other plan on the same issue, because this is child and youth mentorship. This all includes in my group, because I'll be mentoring children and youth, and then promoting women empowerment through social entrepreneurship, the social enterprises. I have some who have been sharing their ideas. Another one is supporting people with disabilities. You know, the funny thing is, a person who is differently able is the one who sponsored my university education. So I decided that I'll be a disability inclusion advocate.
That's really good. You're doing a lot of work. And do you face any challenges?
Yeah, there are some challenges, because as you can see, I have already started work as a human rights defender. But you might go somewhere and someone will ask you, where's a license that gives you the permit to be a human rights defender? Or where is a certification that shows you are a consultant or a child and youth mentor? So I've not found I'm currently unemployed. I'm just doing voluntary services. But I have a Bachelor of Science in Project Planning and Management. And I have some advanced courses in peace building, negotiation, cultural synergy, rule of law from the United States Institute of Peace. So my dream is to get somewhere that I can be working while I support my dream, while I support women and children out here who are undergoing these social injustices. I just want to be there for them. People are suffering, Elena, only they don't have an ear to listen to them. So that's why I'm here to listen to such people, especially when I'm a first-hand person who knows the pain that such people are undergoing. Back to you, Elena.
So you want to be working and doing different kind of projects that is connected to your divine purpose and mission. That's what you want to do. Do you want to share a message to the world? And if you do, share your message.
Okay, I want to urge the world that let's not promote human trafficking. Human trafficking starts at the individual level. If you are forcing someone to do some kind of work that is against their will, that is beyond their jurisdiction, or you are making someone suffer sexual and gender-based violence, especially those of us who come from male chauvinist societies, kindly don't do that to them. If you have a mother, a sister, and you have children, whether a boy or a girl, I'm mentoring both boys and girls, not women and girls, but women and children. So both boys and girls, because if our forefathers who are taught about gender equity and equality, the fairness, we wouldn't be having the modern gender-based violence, Elena. But it's because of our forefathers who believe in misogyny, who believe in male chauvinism. That's why we have the modern gender-based violence. That's why we are fighting this thing, which I think even in the 100 years to come, the equality will not have been achieved. So treat people with fairness, with equity, equality, and encourage equity, equality, diversity, and inclusion at all levels. Don't leave the people with disabilities behind. Those are human beings. They need your support. They need your care. They are not different. They're just like us. It's only that they are able differently. So do not isolate them or do not judge them. To the organizations around the world, in your organization, promote gender equality at all levels, at the senior, junior levels, promote gender equality. This will make us fight this sexual and gender-based violence. Thank you. Back to you, Elena.
I like your message. It's very beautiful. And do you want to share anything else before we close the show?
I just want to say thank you to the Miss Texas TV show for giving this opportunity. This is my second opportunity to present something that I've been doing. The first one was for the Women Volunteers of Peace who are up here in Kenya. Viewers, if you have any kind of support, you know, Kenya is a developing country and unemployment is on the high notch, especially for the youth like me. If you have your organizations that support change makers like me, kindly you can support in any way. I normally say we are not much into some may want monetary, but as for me, when I get a mentor who will get me through this journey, to help me, to give me the kind of moral and emotional and psychological support that I need in this field, I believe I can save a lot of lives out there.
I believe that too, for you.
Yeah. And for us, for me, I was praying to God that I secure an opportunity, a job opportunity this year so that I can get the funds to register my group, because what I lack is the funds to register my group. But I have the people. On Facebook page, we are 100 and more. On WhatsApp group, we are about 50. Because and the leadership team, my staffing, I already have my staffing in place. So people who I worked with the Kenyan Red Cross Society, I've been a leader there, so they have the experience of helping the vulnerable. Those are the people that I chose to be my staffs, because they know we have worked together in the leadership journey. They understand the meaning of diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion. And I find it perfect to have them as my team. Thank you.
Thank you to Harriet for all that you have shared and you're doing. And I want to wish all good wishes to you. And thank you to our viewers for being here. And I appreciate your comments, feedback, and wonderful support. And I want to say goodbye for now and see you soon to another edition. Thank you very much, Harriet.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to have this show with me. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for giving me the platform.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, Harriet.
Bye.
Bye.